Yes, indeed. What is happening in Uganda is similar to what was happening in South Africa during the apartheid time. It's only more painful in Uganda because all this is being done to us by our fellow black people. We have colonialists in a black skin. I have been under house arrest for 11 days, and recently the High Court of Uganda ordered the military and the police to vacate my house and free me from the house detention. Yes, they complied and left. However, we are still having some plainclothes military operatives that continue to follow us wherever we go. We have been deprived of all the freedom and all the privacy following the fraudulent announcement of General Museveni as the winner of the recently concluded election, which, in our opinion, is a complete lie and complete fraud.
Yeah, you have long sounded the alarm around the legitimacy of the election that took place recently in Uganda, and you've tweeted what I imagine is proof of that insofar as you're concerned, where you point out that the numbers simply don't add up. Have you received any response to that?
Have we received? Please say that again.
Have you received any response to a tweet you recently set out, essentially pointing out that the numbers don't add up insofar as the election is concerned? Has the Electoral Commission said anything? Has the government responded to that?
Well, the Electoral Commission has in the past uploaded wrong results, then removed them from their website, and then uploaded others again. But regardless on how much they try to cover the mess, it is clear that it was fraudulent. The numbers as they are uploaded by the Electoral Commission right now do not add up. There's a lot of discrepancies. Besides the qualitative, wrongs that are in the election, where military officers and police officers were critiquing and ballot stuffing ballot papers into the boxes in favor of General Museveni. Still, the numbers do not add up, and we have made it clear that we are going to petition the Supreme Court of Uganda to ensure that justice prevails. Even when we know that General Museveni controls the judiciary, even when we know that he is the one that single-handedly appoints all the justices on the bench, we are still going ahead to use all legal means.
Yeah, and as you do that, Mr. Wine, I mean, your plight has been well documented from even before the election. I think we've all lost count to the amount of times there have been claims of you being assaulted, etc., etc. Do you feel let down by the international community?
I must say that we, as the people of Uganda, feel betrayed by the regional and continental bodies while all this injustice is ongoing, while all this state-inspired and state-sanctioned murder is ongoing, while all these irregularities are happening and are being seen by the entire East Africa, by the entire Africa, and indeed the entire world, while we are having strong statements from the West, strong statements from Europe and America, we have not had a single statement calling out on General Museveni from the African Union or the East African community. So we feel betrayed by our fellow Africans. It is continuously looking like the leaders of Africa on the lookout for their fellow leaders to maintain their grip on power against the people of their countries, are not looking out on the citizens of the country and the citizens of this great continent, Africa.
Right. And, the journey you've undertaken can be an arduous one. It can be a lonely one. It can be an emotionally taxing one as well. And that's just one way of putting it. In the wake of assaults to your wife, for instance, as your child looks on, the assaults you've received to your own personhood, is this a battle you are finding is still worth all your efforts?
Yes, it's a lonely road, but I mean, the truth is always a lonely road. I must say it is a road worth traveling. It is a risk worth taking. And if I was to do it all over again, I would not do it any different. because it's worth it. We have learned from the examples of the great Africans that have lived before us, great Africans like the great Madiba. They told us it always seems impossible until it's done. So we can only be sure by looking at the examples of those that came before us that indeed it will be accomplished.
Yeah.
Oppressed people cannot be forever oppressed.
Right. And, throughout this journey, we've been told countless times by experts who've been watching the country that at the heart of this is, in fact, systemic rot within Uganda. What do you think it will take to change that? Is that a revolution from within the country, or is it time perhaps for some kind of action to come from, the regional bodies that you feel betrayed by?
Of course, we cannot very easily succeed when we are isolated. We continue to call upon the world, but most importantly, Africa, not to turn their back on the people of Uganda. This has happened in the past when the people of Uganda died to the extent of 1 million people in just 100 days, because Africa and the world turned their backs on those people. Many people have suffered and died in their millions and hundreds of thousands because backs were turned on them. We continue to hope and pray that Africa and the world will not turn their backs on the people of Uganda, well knowing that General Museveni massacres people of Uganda at his will and pleasure, and we hope that he can be called to order, especially knowing that the foreign powers are the ones that bankroll him and finance him, which finance is supposed to is meant for the good of the people of Uganda, but he turns it to their detriment.
Yeah.
However, I am very quick to inform the people of Uganda that it is going to take them primarily, their efforts to liberate themselves. We have looked outside so much, and now it's upon us as the people of Uganda, as the people of Africa, to liberate ourselves. So while we are making every effort, every legal, every non-violent, and every constitutional effort to free ourselves, we call upon our fellow Africans to raise their voices. We call upon our fellow human beings not to leave us to suffer in the dark. We don't want to just be the statistics of dying people. We want to be citizens of the world that contribute to our own lives, but later on to the lives of our fellow Africans, our fellow human beings.
And there's so much to be considered, considering the fact that the work that you do inevitably also puts your family at risk. And if you're able to indulge us for a bit longer, Bobi Wine, we're hoping to just get your thoughts about how much longer you feel your family can keep going. We just need to take a bit of a breather. You're watching Newsfeed AM. We'll continue our conversation with Bobi Wine in just a moment. You're live on Newsfeed AM. I'm Ayanda Nyati. Thanks very much for joining us. We're in conversation with the Ugandan opposition leader, Bobi Wine, who joins us via our telephone line. Mr. Wine, thanks very much for staying with us. A point I was making just before we had to take our quick break is inevitably, because of the environment you're in, because of the work you do, your family almost has to walk this journey with you, even though it's something that, for instance, your son hasn't chosen. How much longer do you feel your family can endure some of the hardships you're enduring? Bobi Wine, are you able to hear us?
Yes, please, I'm able to hear.
I beg your pardon. So I was just trying to get a sense from you how much longer you feel your family is able to keep going, considering the hardships you're facing.
Well, first of all, I don't want to put this only on my family. Many families have lost loved ones. Many families have been displaced. We have buried so many comrades. They had families, and their families are now left alone. So while I acknowledge the sacrifice that my family is giving, I don't want to keep it only about my family. Of course, it's so much pressure, but what can I do? We have to keep going. We are many families that are suffering. While I'm put under house arrest, many of my comrades are missing now. They were abducted by soldiers at night and up to now, nobody knows where they are. We are only hanging in here because we know that freedom is the one and only prize that we can win. So I'm not keeping this only about my family, and it's not about how long my family can hold on. It's how all of us as a nation, as a generation, can hold on.
What are you most afraid of, Bobi Wine?
Everything. I know that the regime in Uganda is planning the worst for me. And the worst I mean up to the level of taking my life. But what I'm most afraid of is failure, because we are not looking at failure as an option. Failure to achieve our freedom would be the worst thing. It's what we are afraid of, and that's why we're working so hard every day and night to ensure that we are free.
Sure. Take us through what happens next. You've clearly laid out ways through which you feel what's happening in Uganda, the status quo, is untenable. What is the immediate point of action from here on?
Our immediate point of action, like we say, we are non-violent people. We are peaceful and law-abiding people. But again, we are assertive and non-compromisable. We are therefore taking the last legal step, and that is petitioning the Supreme Court of Uganda in disagreement with the purported results, the fraudulent results that were presented by the Electoral Commission of Uganda. And tomorrow, Monday, we are petitioning the Supreme Court of Uganda.
Bobi Wine, oftentimes many people will watch our exchange, for instance, people of goodwill who feel they don't have agency to change the circumstances in Uganda. Many of them are listening and are watching now. What do you think ought to be the message to them?
The message to them is that, like the great Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So to all our fellow Africans and fellow human beings out there, we request you to assist us in whatever way you can. But most importantly, just like I'm very thankful for the opportunity to project our voice and to amplify it to the rest of the world, we request all of you not to turn your back on the people of Uganda. We are peaceful people that are being met by brute force, by state-sanctioned brutality, murder, oppression, and all that. We have resolved not to give up on our fight for freedom, but we know we cannot do it alone. To the people of South Africa, kindly stand with us. Africa cannot be free until all of Africa is free. We know that we will be free, but we will be free sooner and with lesser people exterminated by Yoweri Museveni, if the entire Africa and the entire world stand with us.
Absolutely. Bobi Wine, I think it's safe to say yours is a noble cause. Thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate your coming onto Newsfeed AM.